Hi, everybody. I'm Jim Shore.
My name's Anna Greer, and I'm actually from Baltimore. We came up here to see Jim Shore.
They remind us of where we got them, when we got them, what they were for.
A lot themed to Christmas.
As I found out, a lot of my friends, including my mom, collected Jim Shore. I didn't realize that.
Hi, everybody.
He is so creative. Like, I don't know anybody else as creative, and he's intelligent. He knows about so many different subjects. I don't know if that helps him just be creative because he just knows so much stuff. He can ramble off random facts that I don't know how he knows these things. I think he's just got a lot up there to fill out on the paper.
People often ask me, what inspires you? It's like asking a basketball player, how'd you get to be 6'9"? Well, he didn't have anything to do with it, you know? He was just naturally 6'9". I'm the same way with art. With me, it was just always just sort of a natural thing to do. The most important element is the people out there I'm working for. And that's who I'm thinking about when I get into my zone and I'm working on my stuff. I always wonder, well, you know, what will this mean to somebody? What will it symbolize? I want it to be something that they love and keep. I want it to be something where I can become part of their experience. That means something to me.
That's the way it works.
My name is Crystal Rose, and I have worked with Jim for almost 32 years, and I do his color work. Jim is an amazing artist. You could ask Jim to draw anything in any style, and he can do it. He just amazes me all the time. My name's Robin Wallace. Jim Shore is my dad, and I work with him as well. I help with the brand. I've been working there since I graduated college.
6 minutes.
Great. Love it.
My name is Dominique Ritter, and I've been with Jim Shore this is going to be my 5th year. And I handle a lot of his social media, large-scale events, just interacting with his fans.
I wanted to make a connection through my artwork between my heart and the people that I'm working for, actually. And I never lose sight of that, you know. I never lose sight of who I'm working for. My parents were products of the Depression, World War II era. My upbringing wasn't aimed towards increased success or career exactly, or education. It was based on just hard, solid work. While they were both not extremely well educated, they were artistic and creative. It made for an absolutely wonderful childhood growing up. I think the simplicity of my childhood is really what prepared me, you know, for this kind of thing more than anything else. A lot of what we did growing up was problem solving, you know. Every time we moved into a house, it would be a fixer-upper. We would spend the whole childhood fixing up stuff, you know, and it would be replumbing, rewiring, rebuilding, I mean, just doing things that the average, the average kid growing up, or today certainly, would never even come close to doing, being exposed to.
My name is Gerald Massey. Technically, I am Vice President of Jim Shore Designs, but I'm also Jim's friend. I've been associated with Jim for, 23, 24 years at this point, so I've known him a long time. I was working with several different artists, but I knew almost immediately from my conversations, from the work he was submitting, that he was going to be different.
If you put enough lines down, one of them in there will be correct. I was focused primarily on paintings, because I'd done extensive portraits, wildlife paintings and landscape, all of that sort of thing. You know, Jan, she's very creative too, and so she was thinking in terms of other things. I was doing sculpture for the entertainment of the kids and for other people and so forth. And Jan encouraged that part of it.
I'm Jan Shore, and my husband is Jim. When we met, Jim had a really good paying job, and I talked him into, let's do artwork for a living, which we instantly became dirt poor. It's so easy to be a starving artist.
So when we were trying to figure all this stuff out, how to make a living doing this, which is frankly no cakewalk.
We just spent years trying to work our way toward that and doing, you know, going from painting. Jim did some sculpting really early on.
We had gone to Chicago because there was a outfit up there that was interested in some of my paintings, a series of folk art oriented paintings, extensive, I mean, elaborate, and they were going to print them. So we actually moved up there and lived in Oak Park for a little while, and it turned out to be a absolute dismal failure for a lot of different reasons. Not my fault, but it didn't work.
And we came back to South Carolina on borrowed money.
Because we spent everything on this adventure and our move, and didn't work, and so when we came back, we were absolutely broke, and that's why we were kind of desperate to do something to make money.
We had these sculptures, and we went to the Charlotte Gift Show, which was a little regional gift show at the time, and we had the original pieces that my mom and I had painted, and had no idea how we were going to have them made or anything, and we just started taking orders on them. And just lo and behold, it was out of the hand of God. There was a lady right behind us who actually had her own resin making business. I mean, it was just a small shop. And she took the pieces home with her after the show and made them, and we started ordering them from her, and then figuring out how to make these figurines. It was an adventure in itself. We used all kind of stuff every way possible to figure out how to do it.
I was doing sculpture, mold making, demolding, fettling, painting, the whole, everything. Jan was helping, and we were doing this stuff together, and she was taking orders and filling the orders, and we were packing. It got to the point where we couldn't handle everything. So we hired a young lady to help us. Then we hired her friend. Then we started hiring some more, and we started, okay, pretty soon we can't do this out of our shed anymore. We run out of space. We went into town and made a deal with somebody to buy half of a cotton warehouse. So we had this huge space, and we started filling it up with the mold making and the painting department and the cleaning department, offices and everything. And then we bought the rest of it.
They had their own company, and it just grew into this big thing to where they couldn't, it was so big, they had to branch out, and then it got to be global, which is amazing. That was Designs Americana. That was our company. We had 355 employees, and we used a extensive sales apparatus, because we were big time at that point in that short a period of time. Most artists in the gift industry are not necessarily part of a gift company. They are contributors to a gift company, and so that's what we did. We started out going down the list of the ones that were the best ones, and the one at the very top was Enesco in Chicago.
When Jim first came to Enesco, and again, this is part of the mythology of the company, that everyone tells the story.
We were at a show in Ohio, and Jim was like, let's just go to Enesco. And Jim ended up going to a payphone and calling them, and they didn't want to talk to us at all.
That just slapped me in the face. I told him, I said, look, I've driven over 1,000 miles come up here to see y'all. And I begged. I did everything short of prostrating myself in the phone booth, And so I guess I guess they didn't want to hear a grown man cry.
A guy named Steve Smock, who was been in the business for You know, I've been in the business for 35 years, and Steve Smock, you know, has been in it longer than I, was given the task of going down and meeting with Jim.
Exact words were, they sent me down to get rid of you, you got 10 minutes. So
we ended up just bombarding them with stuff.
So I started showing him things that I had. I had original sculptures, I had castings, I had different, but I had a design book of things that I had done and wanted to do, and notes and different things. So he looks at it and he says, okay, let's take this up to the conference room where we can spread this out and get a better look at it. Well, I knew right then, that's more than 10 minutes.
We had tons of stuff in the trunk of the car, took a cart and just filled with pieces.
They were up there in this conference room, and there was sort of a parade of people.
So he brings in a person in product development and their assistant, and they start looking at it. Then they bring in the vice president of Enesco, who's in charge of what they call milieu. And then they bring in the head of their sales department. Pretty soon in the conference room, there was just a whole bunch of people, you know, looking at all this stuff, you know, saying, oh, this could be a grouping and this could be this.
We just had all the books of Jim's drawings, and before it was over, the office was filled with people.
I said, well, who did all this, you know? Oh, the guy over there in the corner, you know? I'm just watching it. Well, long story short, by the end of the day, I had a deal memo for a contract. So I'm in, I'm a licensor.
When I met him today, I told him I was drawn to his pieces by the quilt themes. And he said, do you know I have a collection of antique quilts? So then we talked a lot about that. So obviously those quilt patterns that I've made quilts of, I find in his pieces. So I really like that kind of thing.
Today, I want to talk about something that all of you who know my artwork will recognize immediately, and that's this pile of quilts here. Now this is a little portion of the vintage quilt collection that Jan, my wife, and I have. We have about roughly 600 pieces of vintage quilts. By vintage quilts, I mean, in our regard, it's quilts that are about from the 1950s earlier. As far as quilting is concerned, quilting is something that it covers such a wide span of styles and techniques and, you know, ages. And it's something that I think is a point of nostalgia for an awful lot of people. You think about curling up under grandmother's quilt when you're a kid, you know, or something like that. So we've got quilts, my wife and I, we have an extensive collection of vintage quilts.
Every time you make a quilt, you've created a new textile that is unique. No one else is going to do what you're doing. You've made something totally your own. To me, that's so special that just people like myself that are just everyday people that don't have crazy talent like Jim does, you can make something and it's beautiful.
This is the wreath. I think we featured that maybe the other day when we were seeing, so we've hung that up. And this is all some of the many ornaments that I've done and one of the centerpieces in here. And once again, you can take some of the pieces that you have in your collection and do this very thing, okay? So come on in here. Now, I've told you before how I do the table. How you take a centerpiece, something that's maybe a primary piece, and then you just start adding stuff that you've accumulated.
I think Jim Shore pieces are very recognizable. The color, I mean, because even when he first started doing this and I was looking at the drawings, I'm like, wow, that's a lot of color in there. I'm like, but it worked. People loved it. And the quilt patterns, that's obviously in there. And then I think he was actually the first one to start putting scenes on Santa Clauses and angels and snowmen and such.
The way he took simple shapes like snowmen or simple iconic figures like Santas and made something original out of them. First, the shape, you know, which was a little bit distorted, a little bit of like folk art is. It's not perfect, it's hand created, and he was able to recreate that in his own way. And then decorating with these, motifs derived from rose mauling, quilting, all manner of this flat perspective folk art technique for scenes that he added to the pieces.
A lot of people ask me about the design elements that I use, I put together to decorate the sculptural pieces that I do. And primarily I do versions of two separate elements. One is a quilting element, and then the other one is what I loosely call rose mauling. Rose mauling is a European art style that originated in Scandinavia. It's Norway primarily, and it's spread out in different iterations, including Dutch Handeloopen and German Fraktur and a whole lot of others, eventually becoming what we consider Pennsylvania Dutch. And what it is a combination of curled pieces, swirls, and that sort of thing. It's very organic. It kind of grows almost like a plant or a vine.
It's an elegant and different design that he does. And all his pieces have something that you could tell it's his work, something unique about it.
Hi, folks. Today we're doing QVC. Got a 6 o'clock show. It's about 5:30 right now, so it's an early show. You can see the monitors over here and that sort of thing. That way you can be in here, and the people that are with you can keep track of everything that's happening. Here I am with one of our great assistants here, Mary. We're getting wired up and ready to go on air. The thing about QVC that has been, I think, a delight and a benefit from the very beginning is the fact that it's a platform that gives you exposure to millions of people in a very, very positive way. And so you gain if you're lucky, you gain a following.
Good to see you, sir.
Dave, it's always a pleasure to be here with you.
With your busy schedule, it is such an honor to be able to have you back on the air here at QVC, and you bring us your dated ornaments that you've been doing for 21 years.
Well, I've been doing QVC here for such a long time, and I'll tell you what, it's been really the high point of my career. We have presently, I believe the number is 406,000 customers who are regular buyers of Jim Shore products. And that following bleeds over into the industry at large, whether it's Hallmark or Disney, it all ties together. And really, I think I give QVC a lot of the credit for the brand gaining recognition from the very beginning. People were noticing, and it got noticed by a number of other, similar properties. Like, I think the second one was Rudolph. That was something that was our family tradition. I hear Burl Ives in my head, So at the time I thought, okay, well, I'll give that a try. I don't know how many other people are like us, and that's part of what we do, every Christmas. But I think it's worth a try. So it's continuously so popular to even this very day that it is once again a strong co-brand. And then more and more co-brands, followed. Coca-Cola, The Wizard of Oz, The Grinch, Peanuts, and more.
My favorite, Santa in the sleigh figurine. We're going to go through all the detail, but this is incredible.
Yeah. One day, the person named Kathy Cook, who's a lovely friend to this day, who was vice president of Enesco, came and said, I'm aware of what you did with Designs Americana, which was our company in South Carolina, and the seasonal things that you did, because we did a lot of snow, or a lot of Santas and that kind of thing. She said, if you would do something like maybe a Santa collection for us that would be original, different, be something that no one has seen, something fresh, we'd be interested in seeing it. I said, Kathy, that's a darn good idea. I said, I think it's impossible because I've done hundreds of Santas for hundreds of years.
One of the vice presidents asked Jim to make a make a Santa that had never been seen before, and Jim told me, he said, I've already done 3,000 Santas. How on earth am I going to make another one different?
But as I was telling her no, I was thinking, you know, I might be able to do this, because I've been kicking this idea around for a while. You know, I love folk art. My natural art style is photographic realism. Precise, high attention to detail. And I thought, you know, what I could do, I could sculpt some interesting Santas. I knew I could do that. So I sculpted a group of them. I said, I'm going to decorate these things with designs that have absolutely nothing to do with Christmas, or nothing to do with red and green, or, you know, any of that stuff, holly or not any. I'm going to do this as if I were decorating a folk art cow. Today I want to bring another piece that is my favorite subject, a subject that I started out with in the gift industry, hundreds and hundreds of versions of the iconic Santa Claus.
I've collected Jim Shore for a long time. What drew me to Jim Shore Santas is I'm a quilter, and he puts a lot of quilt themes in his Santas, and they are my favorites.
He literally makes me dig deep into what these people want to see, whether it's Disney, whether it's Santas or snowmen or angels. You know, they want a specific angel. The pieces are really personal. It's not just a Mickey Mouse. It's, you know, how he feels about it, and he puts his stamp on it.
Also, we're huge Christmas fans, so we have a lot of snowmen and nativities. The Christmas, the holiday, the snowmen, we give them out all year because it just brings a smile to our face.
Christmas is actually my holiday. I have, you know, a lot of Christmas stuff of his. I decorate in a different theme of Jim's every year. I have enough stuff where I could do a different theme on his stuff every year.
The pieces, they're not just figurines to a lot of people. They mean something to them. And some of the stories that Jim comes home and tells me that people have told him just are so just heart-filled, you know. It's just amazing.
I don't know that I act the way I act solely because of that, but it was a flashpoint that sort of kind of identified to myself what I wanted to be. And what happened was, this is back when Jan and I had very little, if anything, because we were broke. And we were doing occasional craft show, you know, as we were getting started. And we did one up in Gatlinburg, Tennessee.
And there was an artist there who we both really loved. And Jim went over and got a piece from him, taking $30 that we would never get back again. I mean, this is at a time when we have no money. We were struggling.
And then I stood in line, like people stand in line to have my stuff signed. I stood in line for him to sign stuff. And I patiently waited. I got up to where he was. He didn't look up. He didn't engage. It's like he was frankly bored to be there. Scribbled something on a piece, pushed it aside, got the next piece. That was it.
On the bottom of it, you can't even read what the signature is at all.
I don't know if I was insulted as much as I was highly disappointed. Hurt my feelings, really.
And Jim told me, he said, if I'm ever blessed enough that someone wants my signature, they will have all the time they want and a signature that they can read.
I will engage with them. I'll make eye contact with them. I'll converse with them briefly, because you know, you got 100 people in line, you can't spend too much time. But I'll spend some time with them. I'll make that situation be memorable and positive. And at the very least, they will get a legible signature. And that's the way I do with every single piece I sign. The person that gets that piece, they don't care about these over here, they don't care about those over there. They only care about that piece. So when I pick that piece up, that's the only piece I care about, because I think about the person that's going to get it.
Thank you for your work. Thank you for your kindness.
I'm just very thankful for a true Christian artist like he is. And he's an inspiration for people. Just live your dreams and just do what you want. And I love how he doesn't try to hide his beliefs. He puts them into his work.
As much as we love Santa Claus and we love the decorating and we love everything else, we never forget the fact that this is the reason for the season.
Thanks for being the genuine, down-to-earth kind of guy that he is, that comes across to us collectors. And I think as a collector, you just appreciate his gifts, and they are God-given talent that he has, and he expresses that in these wonderful pieces that he makes that everybody can have and enhance their life and their home. So thanks, Jim.
You know, the thing I love about Jim is that, you know, we spent a lot of time together, you know, on trips for events and whatnot. You can talk with Jim about anything and learn something about anything. That's pretty special.
He really is a good person. Kind-hearted. He loves art. He truly loves doing what he does.
I think Jim is special. He also has a lot of grace for people. Like, he genuinely listens to people. And I think when he meets people, they can see that. I mean, he does that all the time. It doesn't matter. And him and Jan help people around them and beyond what they even need to do. And I think people can just feel that from him when they meet him.
So from my family to yours, I want to wish you a very, very Merry Christmas. And I want to wish you also a very happy and prosperous New Year.